Hello. Hi, and welcome to week 4 of the Expanding Dresden Sewalong. I see some of you have been saying hi in the comments already. Woo-hoo. Let's see. Oh, Sophia's here. Hello. Lucy's here. Where did Lucy go? There we go. Where? Oh, you're in Florida? Wait, is it like sticky humid there or is it dry hot like California? Let me know. Well, where in Florida are you? I guess it depends, right? Florida's a big state too. Let's see who else is here. Tony's here. Hi, Tony. Kelly. Hi. Oh, Tony's in Florida instead of Buffalo. Doing. So Lucy, you're still home, right? Okay. Doing. Lori's here. Hello. It's yeah, it's gonna be triple digits all week here today, so it's sure gonna be interesting. Hi Nan, how are you? Janet's here. And we have Gail. Oh, first time here from Canada. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. Uh, are you jumping into the sew along or what's up? What's going on? You're just checking it out. Let us know. If you need any help, everyone here, most of us here are already participating. So if you have questions, make sure to ask away. And we have Julie and Lou. We have Rhonda's here today. Oh, Tony says it's sticky humid. It's good, better for your skin. The dry heat here in California makes me all flaky and like I'm falling apart. So humid's better for your skin at least. All right, so we're going into week 4 here, which means that all your Dresdens, depending on whether you're making number 1 or number 2, 1 or 2, we're gonna have a little bit of differentiation here because 1, we're doing the whole blades, and if you're doing number 2, you're doing the split. You're the brave souls that are doing 80 pieces in this round, right? I know, so I think Sophia, you're doing number 2, right? I believe. Yes, yes. Yeah, I think Sophia's doing. I think I saw you mentioning a comment that you had to cut 80 pieces. But it's gonna look fabulous. And then we have a few more folks jumping in. Let's say hello, Robin. Oh, hi, Wendy. You made it today too. Yay. Katie's here. Woo. And let's see. Tony says she likes buffalo better than the sticky humidity in Florida. I hear ya. Hey, Dottie in the air conditioning. Very, very smart. Very smart. Yeah, AC is the way to go. And for those of you that don't have AC, I'm so sorry. It's no fun. And Gail says it's the first time been unable to do the live. Usually work on Tuesdays, but you've been following along on your own. Yay! I'm so glad. Yeah, yes, 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 yes. And Sophia is doing the ADPs. Katie wants to try the number 2. Oh, yes. I only did a test part here. Let me just flip actually so you guys can see better. So this is my little test part, like post-it reminder notes for myself. So these are, if you're doing the whole pieces, you're doing this one for the number 1 version. And if you're doing number 2, you're doing these two that make up the whole piece. So that's where our difference is. Hence 40 pieces versus 80. I think this would look so cool too if I went around this whole thing. I actually finished it with the whole pieces. I'll show you a chart because it won't fit on my screen here. See, this has all the whole pieces here, but wouldn't it have looked so cool if I had actually mixed in these? Hindsight, right? Maybe I need to make another one. Like I've been telling all of you all that have been making duplicates, yes? So, let me see if I missed anything. Any questions? Oh, wow. Sophia says they're all glued and she just started sewing. Love it, love it. Oh, hi, Jenny. I'm so glad you could make it today. And oh, Deborah, you're here. Yay. Let me make my head a little bigger. I can squeeze myself in. Ah. There we go. Let's see. And Gail says it's cold where she is. Oh, Starlin. Hello. So glad you made it today. I know Judy just messaged on Facebook saying that she's in physical therapy. Boo. We miss you, Judy. But we'll see you in the Facebook group. Let's see. And Nan says she's not that brave to tackle the ADPs. Yeah, I mean, it's this definitely took longer than making with the whole pieces, but yeah, I can't wait to see Sophia's. I think it's gonna be amazing. I'm like drooling already. Whew. Have you guys followed along and seen her all Tilda version? Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Da, da, da. Oh, and Tony said hers looked better, her fabric looked better with the 40, not the 80. Yeah, I think it really depends on what prints and colors you use. Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. So let's baste. Here's my sample fabric that'll show easy for you all. So I've been showing how to make all the previous templates using this fabric. I'm just gonna keep on going. And it's pretty straightforward when you do the whole piece for what round are we on? E. So this is template E in Expanding Dresden number 1. And this is template G in Expanding Dresden number 2. E and G. Let me write that here for you. So E and G. Okay, now let's start with E. And just like when we did the, let's see, where is this one? Oh, excuse me. When we did the D templates, see those? E is basically just a bigger version of the D, right? D template. So the sewing on part, I'm gonna skip because it's same concept when you sew on. So we can focus on the split and what to do next. But let's go ahead and trace this and paste it. And I got a few questions about folks that got the acrylic template, how to get the paper shape out of it. Basically, you'll see you see this faint line here on the inside. That's the line where the paper fits. Let me show that there. So that's the paper line, the inside line, right? And the outside line is with your seam allowance. So if you wanted to, get paper shapes out of tracing these, what you would do is trace your acrylic template on paper, just like we did here. And then you would actually have to subtract 1/4 of an inch to get the paper shape. Oop, like that. And for those of you that got the window templates, you would just trace on the inside line versus the outside line for fabric. Inside line for paper and outside line for fabric. Oh no, now let me make my head smaller so it's not in the way. Oh, hi Kathy! So glad you made it today. Oh, much cooler where you are. I'm jealous. Okay, so does this make sense? If you do the paper, it has to be 1/4 inch smaller than your acrylic template so that it fits inside your fabric when you trace it. Oh, and Starlin says they have 1/4 inch tape that you can use to get rid of your seam allowance. Yeah. Wait, so you would use the tape to trace it or? Ah, and yeah, Lucy, let me grab my ruler real quick. I do have the ruler. Okay. So here's the ruler Lucy was talking about. Add a 1/4 ruler. See that width is 1/4 inch. So technically, after you trace the acrylic with the seam allowance, you could just go in with this and trim it off to get the paper shape. Yes. Yeah. And if you did get the window templates, they would just have a hole in the center and you would just trace on the inside. Little quick tip. And this ruler comes in handy when you do foundation paper piecing too. And I like the wider one because I hear so many, you know, um, little tidbits about people losing the tip of their fingers when they cut too close on their foundation paper piecing, and they're like at it, So be careful. But the quarter one comes with the wider width and a skinnier width too. But I like the wider, preferably. My preference, but you could try the other one too. And I'm like way off on a tangent, so I did trace this one, the E. And now you can just cut it. So this one you would just baste same way you did template D because they're identical except for in size. Let's cut this out. I'm having technical issues today, I think. There we go. Okay. And just slap that on there in the center. Grab a glue stick. And I would start with the short sides again here on this one. Short end, short end. And we'll want to be careful that we're not gluing all the way to the edge, so that'll make it easier for you when you sew. And one tip Judy had, who wasn't able to make it today, she actually goes and just put the put the glue on her fabric instead to avoid getting it too close on the edge of the paper. So you could try that. She said it worked better for her. So it might work better for you too if you find that you're gluing too close to the edge on the paper. There we go. And that's done. Okay, so do this short sides first. Short, 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 and the two long edges. Okay, and then everything's tucked in and nice and ready to go. So now let's do these long, skinny, funny ones. The G. Let me grab my fabric again. Who besides Sophia is doing number 2 here? Anyone else? Or are we all number oneers? And then I have my template. Notice how the template, it has identical angles, right? Like so. There we go. Okay, so this one you want to make sure you're flipping 40 of your templates are gonna go this way. See, this ways, and 40 of them need to go flip the other way. Flip it. So we saw that over here. We need 40 facing this way of the G template and 40 facing the opposite way. Notice the angle on top. It's going to be a concave angle like this. And on the bottom, it's pointy. That way you know you have the correct side of your templates for every other as you're going around your G round on version number 2. Not on version number 1, you don't have to worry about this. Let's see. Glue basting, glue basting. Da-da-da. Oh, Lucy said glue basting on the fabric doesn't work too well. I tend to get too many fibers on my glue stick. Yeah, I mean, so definitely try it. Judy said it worked better for her, so I figured I would mention it. And I still prefer to glue on my papers, just easier, faster. But it's always good to try, right? Oh yeah, definitely thread based. If glue doesn't work for you, then go ahead and thread based. Not an issue. So let me know in the comments, are you doing number 1 or number 2? Just put a 1 or 2 and let's see, get an overall view of what everyone's doing here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trace my G template. So I have it one way now, right? See? Go ahead and trace that. I'm using a friction pen right now. And I did one this way with the angle facing that way. And now I'm going to flip it over. So I have a mirrored template. I'm going to go line it up. There we go. That way I'll just have one cut line that they share. And let's flip that so you guys can see right way up. So see how they're opposite? They're mirroring each other. Okay. And let's cut it out. See, there we go. Okay, let's put this fabric away. That out. And if you just joined the Sewalong, the previous 3 weeks, the replays are up on YouTube as well, so you can watch those if you need to catch up or if you need some tips. So now you see I have 2 cut out and see how they are mirrored. If I place them on top of each other, they are not the same. Yes? And if I do this, they will be pointing together on top and split on the bottom. And pointing together on bottom and split on the top. Okay? Alright. Let me get my papers. So see this paper's facing that way. And this paper, if I have it same way, it will not fit on your fabric, right? So I would have to flip it over. So 40 one way and 40 the other way. And on this one, remember how we did these previous split blades in round C, and I recommended basting the short sides first to have all your tails kind of stick down so they don't get in the way, right? When you're trying to overlap your pieces. Same thing goes here. This way you'll eliminate bulk. Oh, I left my cap open. Dang it. Use another glue stick. It's all yucky. So I recommend using the short sides first, gluing the short sides first, and then the long sides. That way you'll get consistent tails that are facing up and down and away from your piece. And I'll show you what I mean after I glue baste this one too. And do not put this much glue when you're glue basting. Put a little less. There we go. Oh yeah, if you're just joining us, please say hello. I'll go back and read the comments after I finish this. Ta-da! Okay. So short sides first and then the long sides. That way, no matter what, your pieces will stay consistent. See how the tails are facing up and down, right? And let me flip these over. And the tails are facing away from each other and up top. Yes. And this will make a big difference when you're sewing your shapes together. I'm gonna put my cheater piece. Here we go. See how my tails here are sticking down? I tried different ways to make sure your seam allowance would lay as flat as possible, and this was the best that I found for this round too. So the tails are facing down because we started with the short edges first when we're basting. And see how the tails here, the white part, the tail is right there. I'm gonna mark it so you can see. Tail, tail, it's overlapping the final round. And eliminating doubling of the seam allowance on same spot so that you don't get like bulky mess. Same here. See how the next piece, the outer ring, it's gonna have the seam allowance folded right here. I'm gonna show you right there, and the tail will tuck right in as well. So we want to glue baste the short edges first on this template. Short edges first and then the two long sides. That way all your tails will stay in place, go the same way up and down. And opposite, and all your templates will fit together perfectly when you're sewing them together, like so. And let me go back in the comments. So that was G that we did. And this was E. I hope it's not confusing. Let's see. So I see mostly ones. Yeah, so Sophia, you're the brave soul. That's doing number 2. That's here today. I think there's a few in the Facebook group that are doing number 2 as well. So, all good. Oh, Alexandra, Zaza, you're on time. You're fine. Yeah. Ooh, Rhonda's contemplating one with number 2 after she finishes. I've seen quite a few participants making 2 and starting on number 3. I need to catch up. Let's see. Da, da, da. Oh, so Wendy asks, how do you hold your Dresden while sewing so you don't get a stiff neck looking down? It's good if you have a table to rest it on. That way you can kind of rest the majority of the piece because it gets heavier as we're, building the rounds, right? And then just let the majority of it rest on the table and then just hold up the area that you're going to sew. That way you can just sew away instead of trying to hold it up and sew and crank your neck this way. Yeah. And then let's see. Oh, and Lucy has a good tip. She takes frequent breaks and checks her posture. Yeah, I start doing this as well when I get super excited. I'm like the hunchback. And I over here and first I start sewing like this. Oh, proper posture. And then later, as I'm going further into project, I end up like this. So yeah, what Lucy said, it's definitely good to kind of check up on yourself and make sure you're sitting up straight and kind of give yourself a little shoulder roll so that you don't get a pain in your neck and shoulders. Oh, hi, Chris from Nottingham, UK. You'll be doing one. Oh, papers are arriving tomorrow. It's exciting. Oh, I can't wait to see what fabrics you're gonna make with. It's exciting, definitely. Are you in the our Facebook group too? Make sure to jump in there and share your fabric selection and what you're planning to make with. Oh yeah, Dottie says make sure your scissors are sharp. Yeah, sharp scissors make such a huge difference. Oh, how do you get rid of your lines with the friction pen? See how I marked my templates here with the friction pen too? Just put a warm iron over it and they're gone. And since I'm only marking my seam allowance edges with the friction pen, I'm not too concerned about it reappearing, as I've heard people saying that once it gets too cold, the lines will reappear. But because it's on my cut line, I'm not too worried about it showing back up. And if it's that cold, then move me somewhere warmer. Too hot's not good. Too cold, not good either. Okay? And let's see. Uh, 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 uh. Oh, see, and Zaza says good lighting and hold your pieces in front of you and not in your lap. Yeah. So a higher work area, so on the desk is definitely better. Let's see. Yes, you are, lady. And I can't wait to see your next round. I'm just like dying. Like, can you start it now? So we have our E pieces and G pieces basted, right? So now, oh, see, I left the cap off my glue again. Oh my god. Hila would, I need you here to remind me. Close the cap, please. So I will show you. In order to make your G pieces faster, I would definitely recommend sewing them into pairs like this, where they have the point together at the bottom. Grab a needle and thread. And sewing these two together, make sure the point is on the bottom, not the top. Okay, like so. I would match it up on the bottom. And then just put them right sides together. And you want to make sure that your seam here aligns so that your corners meet up on the top and the bottom. And it might be easier to just start on the top corner where there's no tails hanging out. And then we can go ahead and secure, make sure that it'll be lined up. Let's do that. And 2 stitches in the corner just to secure it. And put a little knot. Lined up nicely. And then we just go down the side seam here. I think the first few rounds were the trickiest ones because the pieces are so tiny. But as it gets bigger, I think it gets easier. Plus, you see, how your Dresden starts building out faster, and it's just fun that way. You see progress faster, right? And you just go down the side. So if you're doing number 2, you would end up going from 80 pieces down to 40 after you sewn your pairs together. But you could do them, one by one too if you prefer. When I did my little sample piece here, I actually sewed them together in pairs first and then started attaching them. And keep on going here. And the thing you want to look out for is when you come to the, end corner here. Let me show you when I get there. Because we have the tails hanging, you want to make sure you grab the corner of the fabric where the 2 pieces meet and not just go through the tail part, the flappy part. So we're going to make sure they're lined up and feel for our corner here, the paper and the tip. And come to the end here. Ouch. There we go. And in the corner, I want to put 2 stitches again and give it a knot there. Knot. And now I can open it up. And you got perfect tip. See there? And perfect corner here where we started. And then I'll just go ahead and bury my thread in the seam allowance a bit there. And then chop it off. And then we have one more set that will go right there. Like so. And then you can just build the pairs. That way if let's say you're doing the variation like this, solid and a print, and you know that you'll have one of each instead of mixing it up. And let's see. Hope that makes sense. Yes. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go back to my working piece, this one that I've been working on. So I went ahead and attached all my E pieces because they're this attached the same way as your D templates, right? And then as I was attaching an E template, I just went ahead and removed the papers underneath to make this whole working piece lighter. So I'm gonna look away because it's gonna flip, but I want to make you dizzy. So see how all the papers are out now in the prior rounds? And as I am sewing each E piece and the connecting sides, I can remove the D pieces underneath if you find it to be too bulky. No need to, try to mess with all the papers here while you're sewing the E templates on. But just so I could show you here, I left a few of my D papers in, and we can go ahead and remove those now. And see how it just pops up really easily. If you use a little bit too much glue, then it might be a little trickier, but it should pop off fairly easy, like that. Just run it under the seam allowance here, loosen it up. And if it's stuck really, really good, try putting a warm iron on it to warm it up a little bit. And then try removing the fabric from the paper template. Ooh, I just saw Kathy's comment. Looks like a peacock tail. Why, yes. Ooh, you know what would be fun for like Thanksgiving? Like a turkey colored half Dresden maybe, or like a quarter Dresden. Hey. And then just pop it up like so. And then I want to make sure I finger press my seam allowance back in place, and then I can just run a hot iron over it to just set it and so that the seam allowances won't open up and all fold. And then we have my E templates. I know I left the section with a couple sides unsewn. Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna fold this in quarters so it's easier to work with. There we go. And I just have 3 seams that I need to sew together. So I left them all loose and I just sewed them together one by one. Move over, sew the sides, move over and sew the sides. So these templates, the E templates are easier because they're bigger, but then the sides are longer, so it takes a little bit longer than the D templates to sew together. But it comes together pretty quick. Yes, yes, what Lucy said. It's good to press before you remove your papers too to keep your seams crisp. Yes, definitely. So since I took my papers out in my D round, the D templates, see how it's nice and just soft? And I can, manipulate the E templates much easier because it's folding on the tip of a D template. If I had the paper in there, I would have to bend the paper here, right? Or you would have to use those clips or magnets to kind of hold it in place. But now I can just bend it really easily, fold it right there to sew my 2 sides of my E templates together. Just want to make sure I start in the corner again. And then 2 stitches and knot. And then we just go up the side here. And we hold it up like that. And just go over the top on the fabric. and the needle should go through fairly easy. If you feel that it's getting stuck, then you're trying to sew through the paper, so just back the needle back out and take a new stitch. So who's making more than one? Who's starting their second expanding Dresden? I think I saw 3 or 4 people that have started their second already or almost finishing their second as well. I'm just amazed at the speed. I thought I was fast. Let's see. And yeah, just so that you avoid shoulder cramps or neck cramps, don't try to sew this way or that way. If you find that your hands are naturally falling like this, sideways, or whatever your natural relaxed position is, try to sew in that way, the way your hands relax. That way you're not trying to fight it and you're not using muscles that you normally wouldn't use to try to hold up a piece. And it'll be less painful. I just wish I had like a mega magnifying glass. And then we'll just go up. Inside here. So I know Sophia mentioned that she might make a bunch of these expanding Dresdens with the just a few of the rounds, right? And applicate them to squares and make a big king size quilt. Oh my god, I've been dreaming of something like that. That would be so amazing. Even mixing half Dresdens would be fun with the full Dresdens, wouldn't it? So I ended up my corner here, did double stitch and a knot, like I always do. And yes, always knot when you get to the end of a seam just to secure it because you don't want it to start unraveling. And then we just hide that and bury the seam thread in the seam allowance, and then I can just move on to my next. And let me open that up. See how it's perfect. So easy, right? And I just keep on going. And I saw the comments moving. Let me put my glasses back on, see what I missed. Uh, let's see. Oh, Zaza says the turkey would look good in sort of Civil War fabrics for the turkey tail. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. That would look totally cool. Turkey streaming. See, yeah, it would be fun, wouldn't it, Lucy, for Thanksgiving? Yeah. And Kelly's still working on her C run, not even thinking about another one right now. Take your time, take your time. Ah. And Jennifer is watching along. Yes, please do. Let us know if you have any questions. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're ready for your third, but starting to quilt the first one. Oh my god, are you going to hand quilt it? What's going on? What's going on? You have to share more. You can't just leave us hanging like that. Are you hand quilting or machine quilting? Dun, dun, dun. And Kathy is intending to make more eventually. So many projects and still need to make stuff for shows. Oh yeah, you've been super busy. Oh, fussy cut peacock fabric? Holy moly, that would be awesome. Oh, so Sophia was saying doing 3 rounds and then applique to a background square and making a quilt top. Oh, Dreamy, dreamy, dreamy. Um, oh, that's a good idea. Miss Story Star Quilt Company. Yes, they did. Are you not sure? They did a full and half Dresden circles for a quilt. Ooh, ooh, that would be cool. So I'm assuming they do one round, right? Cool. Oh, so Sheridan says she's hand quilting. Oh, you just sandwiched the first one? I still need to sandwich mine so I can start hand quilting mine too. Can't wait. And make sure you keep post your photos on Instagram or Facebook. I try to capture all your progress photos when I see the finished round so I can share with everybody in my email newsletter and have them drool over all your beautiful makes. Yes. I hope you've seen in the emails I've shared too. If you saw your, Dresden's there. Like, ta-da! Bye, Lori! Have a nice day! So then this round is super easy. So I don't know if I need to keep on sewing, and it makes it makes sense, right? So these are my E templates, and I just need to sew these two more seams, and then I'm good to go. Yeah, so I'm thinking half Dresden. Let me just fold this in half. Oh, that would be really fun, actually. No, not another project to make. So a half Dresden would come out like this, right? Oh, that would be so fun. Great. Thank you for the idea. I think that would be fun. Yeah, half and even quarter. Making this one in the quarter version. Yeah, so many possibilities, right? So after you put all your E templates or G templates like Sophia's making, G, I'm just gonna put that over one of my this is an E template. I'm just gonna put the G template on top, and then later the F, the border, the finishing border template will go on here like so, and it would go right there. So if you're working ahead, and let's say just in case, because I've seen a lot of you that are ahead of me already, if you want to start going basting your F templates as well, remember this: you have an option whether you want to keep the seam allowance folded in like this, or if you just want to skip basting the seam allowance altogether because you're gonna open it. So you have two choices. If you leave it open, then there's less work for you after you sew them together. But whatever you do, make sure that edge is the one that's basted on last so that you can decide later if you want to leave it open or close. The Expanding Dresden, it finishes at 25-inch diameter. That's the finish size. I haven't measured just up to this round, to be honest. Maybe I should. Yeah, I'll have to go into my computer later and see if I can see just the diameter going up to the E templates. But the full is 25 inches. So remember, you have an option for these F edges. And Tony asks, why would you leave it open? Because if you're just going to make a table topper, you would open it anyways. And that's where your seam allowance is. Let's say you fussy cut. Let me draw on here. Let's see, you fussy cut a motif, and the motif goes all the way to the edge, let's say. So let's say this is your fabulous fussy cut print. Don't laugh, okay? So this is your fussy cut, and let's say the tip goes the design on the fabric goes all the way to the edge, right? I wouldn't want you to lose the tips by putting binding over here because you're gonna have to bind it, right? And if you bind a 1/4 inch in, you're gonna lose all those fabulous fussy cut tips that you worked so hard to line up. So that's where you want to open it up. So you have that 1/4 inch seam allowance to add binding onto here instead. Well, does that make sense? So if you've been fussy cutting, you don't want to lose your tip or design that you fussy cut and spend so much time getting that fussy cut right. If you don't open it up, then you're gonna lose that whole 1/4 inch on the edge. So if by opening it up or leaving it open, because you're gonna open it up anyways, that way you have that 1/4 inch seam allowance there for you to add the binding onto. Does that make sense, Tony? Let's see if I missed anything. Oh yeah, even with the quilt, EPP quilt, a lot of people end up that they trim off the corners on, like, let's say diamond shapes, because they didn't think about unfolding their seam allowance before adding the binding on, right? And we don't want to lose all these tips or corners on diamonds too, diamond shapes. When you have like a diamond quilt, let's say, like so. Oh, it's good that it writes. Let's see. Imagine these are diamonds. And if you goes to the edge and then you just trim off and then have the binding go over the 1/4 inch, then you're gonna lose all the corners on your diamonds too. So yeah, unfolding seam allowance helps you retain all that material that you originally decided to start with as the size goes up, and especially if you're fuzzy cutting or if your project has tips, points that go all the way to the edge, you don't want to lose those, and that way you open up. So if you study specifically EPP quilt tops now, if you look on the edge where they added the binding, you can tell if they open the seam allowance or not, because if you see all their little tips cut off, it's because they didn't open the seam allowance. And if they did open the seam allowance, you see all the tips are right there, right along the edge of the binding, which I prefer, but it's personal preference. And let's see. Gail, so do all the paper rounds come in a pack? Yeah, they're all in a pack for the whole Expanding Dresden. So it's 180 some pieces for number one version, and little over 200, 220. Yeah, 220 for the number 2 version. So I hope this makes sense. My beautiful drawings and my crazy explanations. And now I can just iron this and it'll go away and hopefully not reappear because it turns too cold here in California. And so this week's homework is to sew on your E templates and remove all the D template paper templates, so that next week we can start working on our final round where it'll actually finish off the Expanding Dresden and it'll become completely round like this one. I need to get a camera that goes further up so I can show the whole project. See, all this, it'll ultimately make a round edge for your Expanding Dresden, like this. And this side, I started to open up my seam allowance to press it, because that's where my binding is gonna go, right along the edge. And this one I can start hand quilting while I'm finishing my Atsuka Matsuyama version. All right. So today was kind of easy, right? Not too hard, because the D and E templates are so similar. Just differentiation is in size only. And oh, Tony! Oh my gosh! Yeah, table toppers. They're so much faster than big quilt tops too. So it's easier when you want to start with the smaller project for EPP. I definitely recommend starting with the smaller project, so you have something that you can show progress and that you finish, versus a big quilt top that takes much longer, right? Yes. Sophia said it would be nice to know the diameter at each round. That's a good tip. It's like no one's asked me for it before, but let me Write on a handy dandy post-it note diameter each round. Yeah, I don't think I included the diameter of each round because as a whole piece, that's what I was thinking the final project. But like yeah, like Sophia's thinking about doing partial just with 3 rounds and applique to a background. Yeah, then it would be nice to know the diameter. Yeah, so it totally makes sense. Small has never been in my vocabulary. How did our paths cross? I love small projects. Small projects makes me happy. Let's see. Do we have any other questions about how to finish the E and G templates so that we're ready for our F, the border templates next week? And I'm gonna give you a few minutes because I know it lags a little bit. So let me know if you have any questions. Oh, I didn't see this. Oh, so Tony is planning on quarter Dresdens. Ooh. Oh, in various rounds. So like 2, 3, or 4, depending. Oh, ooh, that would be so pretty too. Oh, and Lucy's starting to sew her D blades together, basting E blades. Oh yeah, it's much easier to baste when you're trying to listen and watch something. Yes, yes, yes. I think I scrolled up and I seen everything. Uh, when he says, did not think I would be able to complete all the rounds, look too intimidating. Oh no, you make it easy. I'm thinking of making a second one. Thanks. Oh yeah, see, yeah, once you do each round at a time, it's not too hard at all. It just looks like a lot when you see all the pieces and you got, oh golly, almost 200 pieces, but it comes together much faster than you thought, right? Uh, I usually start big too, Tony. And Tony goes, big is better, right? I love it. So yeah, so that's it for today. I think we kind of ended on a early note here, but since I don't see any questions, yeah. I think it's getting easier now, right? It starts to make sense how you would remove the papers as you go and just sewing on the next round. And if it's clunky, take some more papers out and it just makes it easier. Yes, like Marlene said, one piece at a time and you'll be good. And if you just join the sew along, you might look intimidating because all of us are so much further ahead. But, truly, even in the Facebook group, a lot of folks were starting just this week. So you're not behind at all. So jump in anytime you want. And the Facebook group, let me type that in here. Come and join us there. I'll put that in the comments. And that way you'll see all the fabric selections everybody's been working on and their progress photos. Oh yeah, and if you do tag me on like let's say Instagram, make sure you tag me so I don't miss it. Or did I just like convolute that sentence? If you post on Instagram, make sure to tag me because I miss posts. And then I try to look up under the hashtags, but then it's easier for me to see it if you do tag me. So I have your progress photos and I can share with the world. Let's see, I was typing facebook.com groups. English paper piecing. There we go. That link should work. If it doesn't, yeah, it should work. And that way you can just join us in the Facebook group, come and share with the community, and let us know if you have any questions or issues, and we can all help you out. Yeah. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. If you have any other questions, come and join the Facebook group or just leave it inside under the comments. But I think, yeah, better would be to join the Facebook group and ask there because there's more than just me being able to help you out. Yeah. Oh, here we go. And Lucy says, for those just starting the first rounds, definitely watch the prior videos. There's good tips, and we're always happy to have you and help you in the Facebook group. So I hope to see you there. Have a wonderful week, and let's meet next Tuesday for the wrap up of the Expanding Dresden Sew Along. And did I forget anything? I think that's it. Yeah, and if you have any questions, come and ask in the Facebook group or leave under the comments here for me if you're not a Facebook group user. and I'll see y'all next week. Have a good week. Stay cool.